And you are very familiar with Mrs. Peter. Mrs. Peter is from your era and my era. That means I'm so young, hey? Mrs. Peter was born in Johannesburg. And one thing that's interesting, Mrs. Peter's mother taught at Parkview Junior. So Parkview Junior is in Mrs. Peter's genes. She had no choice. But then later in life, she decided to marry the Peters. And the Peter kids came to the very same school. Mrs. Peter came over as a principal of the Parkview Junior in 1997 till December 2015. Mrs. Peter, please take over.
Thank you, Bertha. I'm so happy to be here again. It's lovely coming home. And there's another reason that we wanted the microphones down here. We can't climb up on the stage anymore. But I'm really very happy to be here at the 100th birthday of this special school. If I look back, I just know how much has been achieved over the past 100 years. They've managed to maintain high standards and make a safe and happy school. Parkview endured through all sorts of epidemics, the flu epidemic, scarlet fever, measles, 2 world wars, the end of the apartheid, a new democracy, and a new millennium. And I've got so many memories of Parkview. I'm sure you have too. Grade R's, I'm sure you can remember the first day you came to school here, can you? Do you remember your parents bringing you? And the rest of you, you must have memories of concerts and sports days. All those things make up our memories of Parkview. I'm just going to tell you one or two. When we had the 80th birthday, we had changed the houses because we said that there were 2 separate sets of houses. The lions and the zebras and the hares and the springboks at the junior school, and the senior school had houses called Stuarts and Tudors and Windsors and Normans. And we decided that it was silly, we needed to have the same houses. So we had a competition. You heard Ms. Holmes talk about a competition. We're very keen on competitions here. And the children voted and we decided on birds of prey. So when it was our 80th birthday, we walked up to the zoo, the whole school. And at the zoo, Mr. Lockwood, you've heard about Mrs. Lockwood, who was here for a long time, her son knows a lot about birds. And he taught us about those birds. And we adopted the birds up at the zoo. If you go there, you'll still see a little plaque that says, adopted by Parkview Schools. And we had this lovely talk all about the birds, and we walked around, but then we had to walk back. And by that time, the grade R's were very tired. So you know what they did, grade R's? They brought all the grade R's back to school in, guess what? The police vans. Captain Loebscher, who was the captain at the police station, said, oh, these children look so tired, we better do something. So he phoned up the police station and he said, send all the police vans to the zoo. And he put the children in the police vans and they switched on the sirens and bee-bar, bee-bar, bee-bar down the road came all the children back to school. So that was a really fun birthday. And I think you're going to have a fun 100th birthday too, because you're not only having one thing, you're having a whole year of celebrations. And something else that exciting that happened when I was here, a helicopter came and landed where the swimming pool is. Can you imagine that? We didn't have Twitter and we couldn't tweet everybody and tell them what was happening in the traffic in those days. So there used to be a helicopter that flew over in the traffic times. And it was called the Eye in the Sky. And they used to tell us what was happening. And so the helicopter came and landed just where the swimming pool is today, and they came and taught us all about road safety. We loved having the helicopter here. And the next exciting thing we did was build the swimming pool. Do you know what we used to do before we had a pool, children? Can you think? What do you think? We did use the hose for the sprinkler day, but we used to walk to the Zoo Lake swimming pool. And then, luckily, the senior school let us use their pool for a while. And then we said, no, we want our own pool. So they came along and they dug a big hole, and the parents worked hard and we saved a lot of money. And eventually we got our own pool. And the day the pool opened was an exciting day. The children all came in their swimming costumes and they sat around the pool and ate ice cream. And then we all had a chance to jump in our pool. And it was a lovely, fun day for all of us. So those are just two of the things I can think of that made my time at Parkview special. And I'm just so grateful to have been part of this wonderful school and all that it has achieved over the past 100 years. Happy birthday, Parkview. I hope you go from strength to strength.
Good morning, boys and girls, and ladies and gentlemen. As Bertha said, Mrs. Berchtold has asked me to read her speech to you. At this very moment, she's undergoing surgery, so let's all hold her in our thoughts. So I won't be speaking to you as much as reading to you. Good morning, honoured guests and the wonderful Parkview School community. It is with sadness that I write this and wish that I could be with all of you celebrating our school centenary. But, unfortunately, at this very moment, I'm undergoing surgery. I have written the book read by Dr. Cross about the schools and was riveted to the amazing story of how we evolved and where we are today. It is a must read. A school is a dynamic institution. As a leader, I equate it to driving a huge engine in which every part has to function optimally. Children come and go, and much work takes place on both the staff and children's parts. But more importantly, it happens within an environment of happiness, of respect and kindness. These are the attributes we need for every child to move forward and progress in this beautiful South Africa. When I started at the school, and when I say I mean Mrs. Berchtold, I was thrown into this delightful whirlpool of multi-cultures, and I made it my mission to learn and embrace them, and continue to foster the culture of kindness and respect. My life has been so enriched by the children and staff, and my colleagues will reiterate the sentiment. School readiness surveys and prospective parents often ask about the discipline of our school. Sometimes I wonder if I'm believed when I say there are no major problems. What is our secret? Our children will answer. We are kind to one another. We respect each person for who and what they are. Keep this recipe, children, and use it. It creates what we need in South Africa today. Traditions are loved because they give us comfort, but they can also stifle progress and stifle healthy change. In the light of this, we need to be open-minded and unprejudiced about departing from old ideas and embracing new ones. In the current technological and political eras, we need to be undogmatic and always open to change. We need to encourage our children to speak up for what their values are and to be able to question themselves and others in this regard. In the 14 years of my leadership, I recall phenomenal youngsters from our school who have gone on to be global citizens and who speak about moral issues and influence other children to do the same and to do what is right. Some of you children might be doing the very same thing in a short 10 years. Significant memories for me, and which I recall most vividly, are the 10-year celebration of our democracy, which was filmed with our children on stage, followed by a feast of delicious cakes and drinks, all sponsored by Standard Bank. On Human Rights Day a few years ago, Ms. Nadira Kachalia organized the very special visit of the struggle stalwart Ahmed Kathrada, who related his experiences on Robben Island and told us about Madiba. His compassion and kindness and his positive attitude made him a man by whom you could not help being impressed, kind and friendly to every child and every teacher. Other significant celebrations were Mandela's 90th birthday, after which Mrs. Robb, one of our moms, delivered cards to Madiba. Dr. Enver Surti, the Deputy Minister of Education, and also a kind and down-to-earth man, visited our school in 2004 and gave us an interesting talk on education and the priorities of the ministry. Another memory I have is when Mary Metcalf, at that time the MEC for Education in Gauteng, brought Mrs. Angie Motshekga, now the Minister of Basic Education, to our school to show her where her children were educated. For me, that was a very proud moment, and I enjoyed engaging with them immensely. When I joined Parkview, the governing body and PTA of that era had a dream of having a technology center. They left us, but the dream continued, and 5 or 6 years later, through sheer determination and endurance, the outgoing governing body and the new incoming one brought that dream to fruition by building our multi-purpose room. We had many parents who worked tirelessly to achieve this. Perhaps during this centenary year, we could name it and give it a roof wetting, as it has never had one. We started using it the day it was completed. In her book, Dr. Cross mentions the building of a swimming pool so that the Zoo Lake pool did not have to be used. That was about 45 years ago, and this pool still remains today, with very few repairs having had to be undertaken. On visiting the school, when I took up the post of principal, I recall the shed and thought at the time, this is the only thing I will get rid of. And sure enough, some years later, one of our parents and a team of men removed the entire shed, and we built what is now our beautiful waiting area. Dreams do come true. A recent project was the upgrading of the staff room, and one pending is the foyer of our hall. These are but a few illustrations of the material heritage we have and the consequent care and pride we should take in them. It is with sincere gratitude that I thank parents, both past and present, for the investment in our schools. We can be proud among schools, both nationally and globally, of our beautiful campuses. We thank you, parents, as well, for your generosity of spirit in sponsoring hundreds of school children over the years so that they could attend school camps, have school uniforms and food to eat at break. We thank you for transporting our children all over Joburg and indulging our teachers with delicious teas and tokens. You are an amazingly generous and socially committed community. Finally, I need to acknowledge the staff at the Parkview schools. Education, to quote Nelson Mandela, is the most powerful weapon to change the world. And staff, that is your mandate. Every member is a spoke in the wheel of that engine, which from year to year produces children who are superbly prepared for taking up the challenges of high school education and who leave here happy and confident in themselves. It is you who prepare them for the many Olympiads, which not only serve to benchmark us, but in which we are more often than not among the top schools. In the words of Henry Adams, you affect eternity and can never tell where your influence will stop. I wish you all a celebration filled with laughter and fun. Thank you.
Who here is tired? You know why you're tired? Because when you're 100 years old, you get tired very quickly. Okay, let's finish this. Are you ready to find the winner? Come on, are you ready to find the winner? Great. Now, your next question in 1976, how much were the school fees that the parents had to pay for their children per child? Was it 400 Rand, 40 Rand, or 4 Rand? Okay, over here, over here. Come, over here, over here. What is the answer? Is it 400 Rand, 40 Rand, or 4 Rand?
400 Rand.
Ooh, no, that's not right. Do you know how much they used to pay? 4 Rand! Do you think you can afford your school fees? 4 Rand. Now this question is for the teachers. Which teacher should I ask here? Which one? Which one? Who? This side, this side. Over here, okay. Hi ma'am, what is your name?
Miss Allsworth.
Miss Allsworth, in 1960, female teachers could not get a permanent post at the school if the following applied to them. Because the female teacher did not speak English and Afrikaans, or the female teacher was married, or the female teacher had blonde hair. What is the answer?
Be married.
Correct! Can you believe that? Can you believe it? A round of applause for Miss Allsworth. Mrs. Allsworth gets a massive 20 points. Now, history was made at the Parkview schools on the 9th of January, 1991. What happened on that day? A, there were only girls in grade R that year. There were no boys. B, the school pool was built at Parkview Senior. Or C, this was the day that the school opened its doors to South African children of all races. Yes, over here. Which is the answer?
It's the third answer.
Open to all races. Correct! 80 points! Woo! Come, a round of applause! All right. Okay, in 1996, the Parkview Senior Choir had the honor of meeting a very important person. Who was it? Was it A, Nelson Mandela, B, Jacob Zuma, or C, Donald Trump? Who was it? Who was it? On the side. Excuse me. Who was it? Donald Trump. 80 points. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost there. We have reached the final, most important question. This question is worth 100 points. So whoever gets it right wins the quiz show. Are you ready? All right. Now, I'm going to read you 3 names. Which one is the odd one out? Mr. Charles Mortiba, Mrs. Edith Beckwith, or Miss Catherine Elizabeth Hudson. The first person to get this right wins the competition. All right, so who is the odd one out? Over here. Who's the odd one out? Is it Charles Mortiba, Edith Beckwith, or Catherine Elizabeth Hudson?
Charles Mortiba.
Ooh, that's wrong. Because Charles Mortiba works at Parkview Junior. I've given you a clue. Right. We have 2 more chances. Yes.
The last one.
Yes!
Catherine Elizabeth Hudson is correct. Yes. And do you know why she's the odd one out? She's the only one who didn't work at Parkview Junior. And Catherine Elizabeth Hudson is the real name of singer Katy Perry. Whoops. Well done. There you go. Round of applause for the winner. Come on, make some noise. Thank you, you lovely people. Happy birthday. Don't eat too much cake. Come, give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, Elizabeth Lockwood, fondly known as Liz by the staff, was associated with Parkview Junior School for almost 59 years. That's a long time. Eh? Liz's children and later her grandchildren attended both Parkview Junior and Parkview Senior schools. Liz was a friend, a colleague, a teacher, librarian, and especially a mentor to both staff and pupils in all her years at Parkview Junior School. In appreciation, the Parkview Junior family would like to honor her love and dedication to our school by naming the library after her today at the school's centenary birthday. On behalf of PVJ, I'd like to present this frame to Keith, Margie, and Jackie, who are here with us today. We have a frame like this for each of Mrs. Lockwood's children, and there's also a plaque bolted outside the library opposite the tennis courts. We will also be planting a yesterday, today, tomorrow tree, Liz's favorite tree, we're told, to remind us of the love and honor and dedication devoted to Parkview Junior School by a very, very special lady.
I would like to invite Miss Ursha Badu to give us a vote of thanks.
Honorable guests, members of the SGB, members of staff of Parkview Junior and Parkview Senior, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is indeed a privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion, and I promise not to be too long. We wish to firstly show our gratitude towards the District Director, Johannesburg East, Mr. Ndevu, for gracing us with his presence, and our department officials, Ms. Vui Cindy, Ms. Joyce Lachote, Ms. Ravina Harila, Ms. Faith Habana, Ms. Zenobia Dupria, and Ms. Ndiza for sharing in our celebration. Thank you too to our Mistress of Ceremonies, Mrs. Bertha Dloti, for directing the program of the day, our guest speakers, Mrs. Marge Holmes, Mrs. Felicity Peters, Mrs. Amelia Potenza, for sharing their experiences with us. And a special thank you too to our historical comedian, Mr. Damon Berry, for keeping us so entertained. Mrs. Hartman for compiling and collating the history billboards and displays, and Monty Print for printing our beautiful programs. A big thank you to our parents, Mike Cordell and Danielle Postma from Mumas for donating the giant birthday cake, Mr. Mehmet Kippel from Sweet Mart who kindly donated the children's drinks, Mrs. Trudy Mitchell from the Foyer Coffee Shop for partly sponsoring the children's cupcakes, Mrs. Gay Weaver from Right Stuff for partly sponsoring the balloons. To our centenary sponsors, Africology, Return Africa, Engel and Falkers, Discovery, who have come on board for the year. We appreciate your generous donations and continued support of our schools. A special thank you to Pam Golding and Cool Ideas for so generously sponsoring the drumming workshop. Thank you to the teachers and parents who helped with the setup and catering, and Randolph and Zeeberg for setting up and managing our sound. Our appreciation goes out to the Centenary Committee members who have helped in planning this event, and a special thank you to Debbie Green and Carol Kelly for having taken the burden off Mrs. Pennington's shoulders. Thank you to all stakeholders who have helped in whatever way, big or small, to make this event a success. Finally, thanks to everyone present here on this special day. Parkview Junior and Parkview Senior appreciate your making time to share in our centenary celebrations. Thank you.
like to take this moment as we are coming to the end of our program. This is something very important and I really hold dear and passionate, our educators and staff. With all these buildings and everything else, what our children become is not impossible without the hard work of our educators. They go through a lot. Today, as parents and everyone around here, would like to say we appreciate the hard work, the tirelessness. I watched Mrs. Hartman last night, leaving the school at 7:30, trying to make sure that everything is in order. And she does that without asking for an extra penny. So teachers, admin staff, even those who do the gardening and making sure that these buildings are well maintained, please keep up doing the good work. It's been 100 years. Let it be 100 more. And let's make sure that these buildings stay. They're well maintained. We still have children to teach. I am leaving that on you. And at the same time, I am sincerely grateful for the work you put in without asking for anything extra, because you are doing it for the love of the children, nothing else. And then last but not least, I would like to ask my governing body members from the Parkview Junior School as well as the Parkview Senior School to please remain behind for a photo session. And then the rest of the audience, they may please go to the hall and have some tea and a sandwich. And the kids can also go through, but they must come back for the drumming session. So the kids are going for a muffin and some juice.
Yes, we're doing it.